I think this is the first that I've actually talked to somebody else about it, to be honest. Like, I never really talked to somebody else. Who am I outside of the sport, right? Like, the whole time you're doing it, you're just, like, going through the motions of it. And sometimes you're just not having fun.
Photographer of the year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Shellda Podcast, where today I am joined by probably a name that some people know about, but I think a lot of people this year are really knowing who you are. I've got Kaito Warner of the Hurricanes on. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure, man. You're, we'll jump into it, but I started this year and I was like, man, I've seen the name. I've heard Kaito. It's a really cool name, but I just didn't really know a lot about you. And I'll actually just jump right into this. I think it was Atlantic City. I think it was Atlantic City. I always like try to get to the field early before the day starts because there's just some cool, like sunrise shots and whatnot. And yeah. And you guys had like an early set, and I'll pull up a picture here. And I looked over and I couldn't tell who it was. And so for people that are not tuning in on YouTube, this is a picture of Kaito just kind of in the corner of the field, empty grandstands in the background. The sun had like literally just peaked the clouds. And you're in like this deep meditative state. And as I'm walking off the field, I think it was somebody from your coaching staff said, "Hey, that's Kaito. Keep an eye on him this year." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so like, that just opened my eyes to you and to learning more about you.
Right.
So yeah, awesome. I'm super excited to have you on the show. You've got such a cool story that I don't think a lot of people know about. So let's first jump into that photo. What was that? Because I think a lot of people, when I posted that, like some people were talking about this flow that you're in. So talk to me about that photo, and I'll bring it back up again. Okay, before Kaito answers this next question, I've got to give a huge shout out to some partners that have been with me on this podcast journey for a very long time. First and foremost, Hormesis. Did you guys see the sale they had last week? They did their 5-year anniversary sale for 5 minutes. Everything was 55% off. Are you kidding me? That was absolutely crazy. I scored a hoodie and a few more things. So hopefully you were able to grab something on that drop. And if not, head over to their website because they've got a lot of really cool things they've added. And then secondly, I've been rocking my Pro DNA backpack to the office, carrying my laptop, my headphones, some paperwork, my coffee. And I've been getting a lot of questions of like, hey, where's that backpack from? And so it's been really cool to tell my coworkers about this pretty awesome backpack that now goes with me not only to work, to the paintball field, and all over the country. And the nice thing about that is you can get this backpack right over at bfpgear.com. School started last month for a lot of kids, college kids, and also if you're a commuter that goes to the office, this backpack is absolutely perfect. So head over to bfpgear.com while supplies last. Okay, back to the episode with Kaito. Enjoy.
So I make this joke, or some of the guys make some jokes about it. It's kind of like aura farming. It's like the new little like hype trend that everyone's saying. But for me personally, it's something that I've seen a lot of legends do themselves, and I've been in the game now for about five years now at the pro level, and I've visually seen them. I've heard them on podcasts talk about it, and really all it is visualizing. What I'm doing there really is just visualizing what I want done. So we're about to play Tampa Bay Damage, I believe, in this set. And I'm really just visualizing some moves that me and C-Right did at practice, some plays that I know that I'm going to be the lead guy on that side on, and just really visualizing exactly maybe what Stewart might do and how I can play off of it. And just really, just visualizing the whole match together and then trying to take it all in and really be present. And I like to say, be where your feet are. Just be in the moment, no phone, no nothing, just there. And that's really what that was, visualizing.
Man, what a powerful moment. And I think you see that a lot in sports. I know sometimes if you watch like NFL or college football, they'll show some players like kind of in the pregame, like actually running their like rituals, like they're running a route, they're actually walking out and like going through the whole entire motion. before the match starts. And I think you're right. That there's definitely power to seeing how it all plays out. That way you just naturally feel it in that moment. It's not forced.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just somewhere, it's like everyone's saying, flow state too. It's just trying to find that state of mind where I've heard it from a few of my favorite players in the game, and also a few of my favorite pro athletes in other sports too. But it's like almost putting a helmet on mentality, right? You put that helmet on, and nothing can get through to you, no much how much fit fans go off in the crowd. You got to block all that out, or maybe how much somebody in even behind the net is on your side. Like even then, you still got to not let that creep into your that success can creep in, and you can be up 2 points on somebody real quick, and it all flips around real fast too. So it's a lot that helmet mentality of not letting anything get inside your skull, for sure.
Yeah, there's so much that just goes into juggling everything from a pro career. And I think that's where I want to start off our conversation is, before our recording, like in our kind of pre-chat, you had mentioned the struggle of one, playing professionally, but then also finding a professional career as well that kind of marries the two. Talk to me about that a little bit.
So, I would definitely how can I word this the best way? Paintball has made my life amazing on so many aspects and facets that I couldn't even begin to say in words, really. But it also has kind of put my life into shambles in the sense of my professional career. I've done everything from being the bug guy, the pest technician outside your front door, spraying for bugs, to serving, waiting tables, for an extra couple bucks there just to, get by or whatever. Early in the pro career, for sure, you know what I mean? Sometimes you find something you love and that you can do, but really right now I feel like what I found is really wanting to be an entrepreneur next, and kind of taking more steps in that direction, because a lot of not only my heroes in the sport, right, have done that and been successful in that route and have been able to make their schedules fit paintball instead of finding a schedule that fits paintball. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
like
100%.
Making that happen, I feel like is the next step for me in something like that. And so, that's just like what I'm looking at and looking to expand to doing that stuff instead. Yeah.
Great answer. And I think you touched on things that so many people struggle with is you get to this professional status in a sport that we all love, and in a lot of other sports, that's usually where your life takes off, right? And it's almost like the opposite for paintball, where you get to that professional level and now you have to spend even more time at the field, spend more money traveling to practices, and that's usually when more of a damper gets put on to your career, maybe your family. And you just hear it so often of people that the higher they go, the more of a struggle their life becomes in a way.
Because it requires more, like that level of intensity, that level of teamwork, that level, you need more time just to be together. And we all talk about it so much, not even at the pro, I feel like at the coaching level where I coach divisionals all the way to the pro level, we all talk about that, the time encompassing the sport. It's always talked about finding 5 to 10 dudes in that range that want to show to one thing for 7 hours every week for 1 day a week is so difficult, because it's just that consistency of being able to do it. So like hats off to the teams that all live together and hang out and do that stuff every day. And that's difficult. Good for them to do that.
Yeah, it's so hard. And as you were talking about that and talking about like being an entrepreneur, I just had this thought of, I think in a lot of other professional sports, when you go from most of the trajectory is you go from high school to college to maybe semi-pro or pro, right? But oftentimes from that college to pro level, there's nowadays like a classroom where somebody comes into the organization and they teach you about life. They teach you about finances. They teach you, hey, here's how to manage your social media. Here's things to do and not do. I know we're not at the NFL level, but that might be something to help teams that are coming up into the pro league or player that's coming up to the pro league for the first time of, hey, your life's about to change. Let's talk about the good and the bad, things that
Right.
you're going to deal with personally.
Right. Yeah. And I always feel too, like maybe this is asking too much of pro ownership and stuff like that too. But I've heard of maybe some of this stuff going on too. But like the pro owners that can own businesses and stuff, even having that level of, I guess, capacity to be able to have a business or a few businesses to be able to give their pro players maybe jobs to working at those businesses and being able to fix their schedules to, hey, you're off X amount of days and have PTO for X amount of days in my tire shop or whatever in Austin, you know what I mean? And then you can go play paintball as much as I need you to, but your livelihood is good because you work with me and you don't have to worry about losing your job or having to find a new one after Cup, because Cup is now what, 3 weeks long or whatever. It's so ridiculously long now with the 3-man. Yeah, it's insane.
At this point, it starts tomorrow. We're in October.
Yeah, I literally put in my days off and for one of my jobs, and my manager's like, "So you're gone for like two weeks, right? Like you work Monday of Cup week, and then the week before you work Monday and Tuesday. Like, cool. All right, see you in 2 weeks. Like, yeah,
It's hard, and
yeah, that's what I mean.
Some managers won't approve that, and
No.
let's say if you're new to a company, you may not have a lot of vacation time.
Or enough clout to do that, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I want to push that on to you and ask what your opinion of that is, because you said something, I think, great there, that there is an opportunity for some owners that have businesses, like the
capacity to do so, right?
Yeah, like I think Bart from Impact, I think he owns a bunch of car dealers, so maybe there's an opportunity there, right? If you'd have to relocate to Canada, and MJ with Diesel, I think he owns some businesses too. But let's put you into obviously the player's shoes, and if a pro owner said, "Hey, I would love to have you come play," we'll just take Impact for example. Let's say, Bart's like, "Hey, we would love to have you come play for Impact. You can move to Canada. I've got a job for you at my car dealer." Talk me through that. Would you say yes to that? And the reason I'm asking is, now you're not only putting your pro career in this person's hands, you're also putting your professional career. So if you get cut from that team, you may also lose your job too. If you've been enjoying these podcast episodes, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps out a ton. Thank you so much. Enjoy this episode.
Right. So that's the other thing, right, too. So like, I don't know if that's maybe the route that I would take personally if it's as far as Canada is. But like, if you were to say maybe like, hey man, I own XYZ job in Texas, you might not have to relocate your family as much, or I own XYZ job here in Louisiana, right, or something close to the team. I need you to move closer to the team, but you can, after you move close to the team, I will pay you XYZ and that stuff. Personally, at that point, paintball is now your job, even though you work for them maybe outside of whatever that is. Selling cars, for example, right? If you're just selling cars, you might not be the top seller, but damn sure you have no excuse to not make practice on Saturday and Sunday, because not only does your boss know where you're supposed to be, but now not your owner of the team that you play for is expected you to be there because he's your boss. So it's like, you know what I mean? So I don't know if I would take on that type of, maybe it would depend, everyone's got a number or whatever, right? But like, it's like one of those things that like, I feel like personally, it'd be definitely a big ask for my wife, because my wife, like I said, she landed a great job out here in Texas. So if it's any kind of relocating, we just have to do, like, she just landed this stellar job. So it's like, that would really weigh in. And if my wife's like, man, I could just land another stellar job somewhere else, screw it. She's a nurse, so it probably could happen. Then yeah, she's all for it. She's 100% for paintball, then she'd probably be down. So it'd really just be, as long as she's cool, I'd probably be able to do it for sure. And she's just always been my rock like that.
I'd be curious to see if there are, because I'm sure there are pros in the league that work for their owner in some capacity, what that relationship is like.
Yeah, it'd be really crazy, right? That'd be a really strong one. It'd have to be something where like they wouldn't fire you from your job if you lost your spot on the team or decided to move on from the team because of that reason. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it would have to be somewhere in a contract or something. I would put, right, personally, I would
totally.
think. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Well, let's
That's a
let's
wild
dive.
world to go in. Yeah,
It really is, because like you could
yeah.
be on a Sunday and maybe your move is the one that cost the team to lose the event, and then now less than 24 hours, you've got to be back at this person's shop working for him. It's
Mm.
like you've got to switch employee hats to player hats like that. It's got to be so hard to do.
And he could still be mad at you for that move, dog. You just be like, go
Totally.
clean toilets.
And then you could use that for retaliation and go to HR. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many different things that could potentially go down.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pretty crazy world.
let's talk about so I think everyone knows you now, obviously, for playing for the Hurricanes, but this isn't your first time in the league. You've played on Seattle Thunder, you played on the Ironmen. I would love to look at both of those, right? Because I think Seattle Thunder, it's no secret that they lacked some funding, I think, towards the end, if I
Very blue
recall.
collar. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. And so talk to me what it's like about being a professional paintball player for a very blue collar program where there's not a lot of funding versus jumping to the Ironmen, who were obviously backed pretty well by Dye.
So I guess I'll start with the not good funding part. The not good funding part, honestly, when I first got into the league, when I played with Scottsdale Elevation, that was the first pro team I played for. They were very blue collar as well. And honestly, if you're going to be a new pro paintball player in the league and not have very many connections to much of anyone in the league and just trying to, butt your way through the top of that ceiling where everybody just knows everyone, it's a tight-knit group. Once you kind of break through that and you get on a pro team and they're low funded, that's usually where you're going to start, is any blue collar, just like down to earth. Hey, we all pay X amount of money for practice paint and we're expected to pay an X amount of money when we get to the events for hotels and whatnot. My whole thing with Thunder and being on a low funded team like that, Corey Field was probably one of the best guys at getting sponsorship deals to work for us. So I remember when I was on Thunder, we had a jersey and pants sponsor for soft goods called Dizana, and I think we're the only ones in the league that had Dizana at the time, at the pro level anyway. And they gave us 5 sets of pants and 5 sets of jerseys at every event. So I was able to flip the 5 jerseys or 4 jerseys or whatever that I didn't use at the event and cover tickets for the event or practice paint for the event or whatever. So Corey was really good about getting extra gear from sponsors and allowing the players to flip or keep or whatever they have you to be able to make the money back from that you're spending out of your pocket. So even though Thunder was very blue collar, with Patty Gleason and John Kurzawa and Corey, like these guys that are really, like John Kurzawa, I believe owned his own, or still does own his own dentist practice.
Wow.
And so it's like these guys, Patty owns OTL. So it's like these guys were very business mindset. GJ Sakaguchi owns his own business in Hawaii. So all these guys are, like I said, my heroes that own businesses that I'm kind of taking a page out of their book finally and going to be an entrepreneur. And that is, I think, what Corey had was a bunch of guys around him that were able to be like, hey, no one in the league has Dizana. Let's leverage that for us, right? No one in the league rolls around with OGO bags that are custom made, right? Let's roll with that. You know what I mean? Let's see what that gets us, right? And that kind of stuff was able to open a few doors and allow us to, make some money back, which was cool. That was really cool. So even though it was very blue collar, that year I broke pretty even, and I keep a pretty good Excel of my own spending for every season. Yeah. Especially in the pro league, because I really like to know what my hard work has earned me in the sense of that aspect, as far as my pocket value, I guess you could say. And I've always kind of thought of that way for paintball, because I've always had to work 2 or 3 jobs and whatnot, just flipping around in the service industry anyways, serving tables and stuff just to pay for paintball in the divisional era, right? So it's just like one of those things I always wanted to see when I joined the pro ranks. How much money am I spending? Is it more? Is it less? And Thunder was one of the few teams that I broke even on almost. Like I think I didn't spend very much because of the sales and stuff like that. So even though it's blue collar, I feel like every team, if their ownership has a way of giving the players opportunity to make money through the sponsorship, it allows you to kind of almost break even, and then you're not really, it's what's $200, right? To do something you love.
Yeah, totally. I mean, especially at that elite level too.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, paintball is obviously an expensive sport, but it's almost like we go through this bell curve of, you have to spend a bunch in divisional, then you get to almost like sometimes a D1 semi-pro level, and sometimes there's funding there where you don't have to pay, but then sometimes that initial jump to the pro from a lower tier team, like you're now almost having to be back to a divisional mindset of like, I've got to pay for a lot of things again, and how do I do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many things can I flip that are mine from before that can pay for the first set of stuff from the pro team?
Yeah, and I think that's where that you can look at it from two different sides, right? Like if we look at it from the glass half full, that'll teach you a lot of life skills of, okay, like if I want to make this work, how can I offset some cost, or what can I sell to do this? So you can learn some skills in selling and marketing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you've done a really good job of your Instagram presence. Like now with the drone that you're doing, like people are starting to see a lot more of you.
A lot of people ask for that. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see like what your jersey sales, like what your value would be on your jersey sales then versus now.
Yeah, that'd be cool, huh? Yeah, that would be cool because you get all that, like, I just sell them for whatever right. So, yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, to have that metric, huh? I
Yeah,
never
because
thought of that.
if let's say if we've got we'll just say the Ryan Greenspan or like even the Scott Stewart, right? If he's selling his
Right.
jersey versus whoever the lowest player in the pro league is, they're going to sell it for two different prices.
Yeah,
People are going to pay. There's market value for all that, and so I think
right.
with what you're doing to market yourself on Instagram and as an entrepreneur, you might see more of a lift in your jersey sales. It'd just be cool
Right.
to see the correlation there.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah. I never even thought of that, to be honest. It's just trying to get by, in the moments of doing it all.
Yeah.
So that'd be really cool. Yeah, to see all that. Come to think of
Add
it.
that to your spreadsheet for the end of the year.
Yeah, jersey sales. Well, this year it's actually really nice with the whole management turnover and stuff like that at this team. That I this year I'm probably going to end up almost breaking even with the Hurricanes now again, instead of being short a bunch of money out of my pocket like I was in the beginning of it all. And
Yeah.
this year I'm probably just going to end up giving away a lot of the jerseys that I have coming in on this order, and just giving them to a bunch of people that have reached out to me and wanted some old, Houston buddies from my outlaw days and all that. So yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like when you say, and I've heard this from a lot of pros, like, hey, when I make it to the pro league, like just people come out of the woodworks and like, hey, I want your jersey. I want, the jersey from this event. And like,
Yeah,
it's got to be such a cool feeling for you, the player, to one, like, holy cow, people want my jersey. But then at
yes,
some point, it's like, oh shit, I only have like 3 of these things. Like, how do I give them everything?
yeah, supply and demand, that market, right? Yeah, that market
Yeah.
we were talking about. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? That's really cool about that paintball scene is you can enjoy wearing somebody else's name on your back if you enjoy that player, and you don't get a lot of chances to do that when you have a 1v, like not a lot of people have a 1v1 with Dak Prescott and be able to get the signed jersey from them. A lot of them buy them off of Facebook Marketplace or whatever, and then they end up wearing that. But to be able to, like, I've slept on some of my players that I coach. I slept on some of their couches. You know what I mean? Like just staying in Houston just to have a bike ride with them. So it's that cool little difference there. That's nice.
Yeah, and that's the part where part of me doesn't want the sport to grow to that NFL or Dak Prescott level, because like you'll never be able to have those interactions with pros, right?
Right,
And so it's kind of a
100%.
weird fine line thing.
Yeah.
I do want to circle back to that question and answer the second part of it.
That's
What
right.
is it
The
like
funding.
playing for the Ironmen where there was funding?
Yeah. So I had this saying with my wife after the Ironman season. Sometimes the most funded teams aren't the most fun. Like sometimes you don't have to spend a dime. You're just flying from here say to there say, and on a bus from here to there, and don't have to worry about how much the hotel was or how much food's going to be tomorrow or any of that stuff, or when you're going to get your dye gun back. Like all that's great and dandy. And sometimes the whole time you're doing it, you're just like going through the motions of it. And sometimes you're just not having fun because maybe because you're losing and you're at the bottom of the pro bracket and you're just struggling to stay relevant, or sometimes it's just the expectation of maybe the team that you're on and the name you're wearing across your chest is so legendary that you feel so much pressure to not let them down, that it's so hard to have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was something with the Ironman. I feel like the group of guys, especially in the beginning, it was fun for sure, but we were all not ready. Like as a group of people on that team, we were not ready for the pro scene. And not only did we all know that after the first event, I felt like personally, but so did the rest of the league, and so did the coaching staff, and so did ownership. So moving forward, bringing on better talent that maybe played together more and had more of that unison, and then got a second place together, like that was a great step in that direction, right? Saved the franchise from being relegated, one of the legendary franchises from being relegated. And to be honest with you, I was a part of the problem for them almost being relegated. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Playing solo paintball, not playing well at events, maybe not having the best practices, but expecting to play for some God unknown reason sometimes. You know what I mean? Some of it was probably me. But I will say a lot of it too was just not having fun, you know? And, you know, the flights are all cool and they're free, but it's really heartbreaking to get on them at the end of events, knowing that you don't really feel like getting on the practice one. You know what I mean? And it's something that you've really enjoyed freaking doing for your whole life. Like, well, you know, like some of those flights, it's like, who am I outside of the sport, right? Like my whole Instagram is paintball. I post something about my family, it gets like maybe 20 likes, and one of them is my mom and the other one's her mom. You know what I mean? Like, totally. It's not very popular, but like a photo of my back with a name on it and a number gets 250 and 17 shares and, you know, whatever. And it's one of those things like you get on the plane ride at home and you're like, well, if I leave this, what's next? Like, what are you going to do? You know? And a lot of that dawned on me, and a lot of that was very hard in those moments. And my wife knew I was very happy a lot of those times. And, it affects everything, you know, when something you love becomes something difficult to do every day, every weekend, or, you know, training is just something you're going to go do so you can just post about it to say you did it. So when it comes up in a meeting, you'd be like, well, I did it. What'd you guys do? You know what I mean? Just to prove somebody wrong or something, you know, like that's not fun. So like, I don't know. It's definitely like one of those things. Some of the best funded teams I've ever been on have been some of the least fun. And so, like, would I trade my money for more fun? Sometimes, yeah. Like a lot of people would, like, absolutely. And like I did with this season, in the beginning of this season with the Hurricanes, I had offers from semi-pro teams, fully funded, gear. You get XYZ too on top of gear, so you can make money. I've been paid by semi-pro teams that are I've been paid much handsomer than on semi-pro teams than I ever have any pro team ever.
Wow.
Ever so far. And I played on Thunder, Elevation, Ironmen, and now Hurricanes. So that's a quarter of the league.
Wow. So, that's wild.
Yeah. So it's just like one of those things, dude, that I feel like, and on the teams that I got paid on in semi-pro had a blast sometimes. Some of them a freaking blast. And we would sometimes even go 3-1 in Dallas, not make it with Outlaw, and still have some of the best memories, you know, heartbreaking in that moment, maybe, but like Sunday, blast, dude, had a blast Sunday. So it's like things like that, you know, it's like some of the best funded teams for sure, maybe not the most fun, but would you trade some money for fun? I mean, I will for sure. That's what I chose this season, and it worked out for sure. So. Yeah,
I think that's a lot of, I mean, there's so much to unpack there. So thanks for going deeper on that, because I want to unpack all of it.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the dream for a lot of people, you know, is one, to become a professional player. But then when you do that, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get money, I'm going to get free guns, you know, all this extra gear. But yes, that's great, but that comes with so much added pressure. It then becomes a business at that point. Mm-hmm. And if you aren't performing, that's where like the cracks start to show. And you know, you see it from time to time, right? Like obviously, and we'll jump into the Hurricanes a little bit here in a few more questions. but that's a total blue collar team, and you can see it. Like you can just feel the energy is different in that pits versus a team who does have a lot of funding. There's just a total different vibe for it. And obviously I know probably way too much about Dynasty, but those guys, like, yeah, they've got things paid for them, but they're not making impact money, or they're not making damage money.
Yeah.
And it's just a completely different experience from what a lot of people go through in the league. And so I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of people have dreams of becoming a professional and knowing, hey, yeah, you can have all these cool guns and all this free gear, but it actually may hurt you wanting to be in the league versus being with a team who you have to kind of earn it a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes when you like earn it a little bit, what was Snoop Dogg saying in something that I posted recently, like the underdog story? Like you love different, like you love harder, you want it more, you expect more of yourself every time. Like those are all the things that you gain from being that like underdog, that blue collar, hardworking group. Like times of the essence. You know what I mean? Like we do not have millions to sit back and wait. Like this opportunity will not come again. Make it count. Make it count. And if you don't get it and you get a chance to, like, don't squander.
Yeah.
Make it count. Yeah. Do not falter there, for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for going down that path, because I think that's the goal that I think some players are gonna resonate with, is that reality check of, holy shit, I've made it to the pro league, but then all this other stuff just adds so much of another element to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Pick up an extra shift at work, baby. It's going to be expensive sometimes. Or, maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can start taking it a little bit easy, but don't rest on it. Like, maybe take it a little easy on work, but put that extra time in on the field. Go shoot some more pie taps, or pie cans or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that if you're going to, I've always wanted to be paid for playing paintball. That's like always been my dream, right? Like I've seen Oliver Lang do it. I see Alex Goldman do it. Me and Mouse are pretty close, I feel like, in the sense of like texting and talking here and there. And I see Marcelo doing it. I see all these guys, Tyler Harmon doing it, it's like these guys, you can do it. You can definitely do it. But it takes a little while, you know what I mean? And it takes a little bit of getting out there and finding the right group of guys that allow you to have your moment, and growing with that group of guys and having the time to do so. Like it's hard up there for sure when it comes to this. The time is of the essence, when you get up there, I feel like, for sure. And just because you pay for it, as long as I feel like you're having fun, that's all I care about now. Like as long as I have a good time doing it, I will gladly pay for it, because that's all that matters, I feel like. Because then at the end of the day, like you said, we're not getting paid millions to do it. If you're lucky enough to have an owner that will pay you to do it, then like good on you. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to put away enough money for your grandchild to live off of. And, that's like what we all want to be, right? To be able to be putting away money for your legacy or whatever, right? Like that's the goal.
Yeah, I think, we don't talk about it a lot, but legacy is super important to a lot of people. And you had mentioned something that I when you said, I was like, oh, I want to poke into that a little bit. You were talking about on that flight back, and maybe it was when on your Ironman days, where you're like, man, I go back and like no one knows what I'm doing, or like it's just, I post a picture on Instagram of me in my jersey, it pops off, and then I post a picture of me just like at a coffee shop and like gets 2 or 3 likes. Yeah. I think so many people that play paintball, whether you're in the pro league or not, or maybe you're like on my side, you're on the media side, that is something that most of us struggle with, is that identity crisis of what are we without this sport?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Like, what would you do every Sunday if you didn't have this? You know what I mean? Go to church, pick up golf. Like,
so when you said that, was that what was going through your mind of like, oh shit, this is my identity, and like I have to either go deeper in this or find a different path? Is that what you were going through?
In that moment, I would say I was really going through more or less like, well, I'm trying to word this correctly as best I could without, I wanted to know if I left this, when I was thinking about this, if I left this, what would I become as a person? Because I feel like this sport keeps me very, level, very here, right? And I'm like most people in this sport, I feel like very strong-willed, very alpha, I guess you could say is a good word for that too, but like very strong, opinionated, all that. And I feel like a lot of us in the league are like that. And if you don't have a good outlet that's somewhat physical, I feel like, or extreme, or some sort of adrenaline junkie kind of mentality, you're gonna falter in other parts of your life because you just don't have that. Like, I've worked out since I was like 16. I've been working out at the gym, and I've lifted very heavy weight before, and even when I hit my PR, I don't get the same exhilaration I do when I shoot somebody in the face at paintball. So like, how do I, when I was flying home from that, like, how do I match that? How do I match that passion? How do I match that anxiety that I get to feel before a point? How do I match that team bonding aspect that I felt on Thunder? How do I get back to that brotherhood where I feel like I truly cared about these people, like I truly hope that Patty Gleason and his family thrive to be everything they want to be, right? And I hope OTL blows up to be the next, I don't know, Gucci, you know what I'm saying, of paintball, or even better, right? And I hope that GJ finds this awesome contract and is able to come to the mainland and play paintball with me again because I love him so much, you know what I mean? Like, I hope so much for these guys that I consider brothers. And I feel like when I left and I was feeling this, like, I don't even want to do this anymore. How am I going to replace that family bond even? Because I don't have very strong family ties. A lot of my best friends are my family. So how do I replace that? Because a lot of my best friends play paintball, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I'm 33 now. I just had a birthday not that long ago. And how do I make friends? You know what I mean? Like, I just moved to a brand new state. How does a 33-year-old man make friends in a brand new state?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without something like this. So like, what am I going to be if I wasn't this? You know what I mean? And I sat with that for a while, and I thought to myself, this is going to be kind of a funny side thing, but I thought to myself, I was like, pro volleyball. I'm gonna be a great setter. Like, I'm gonna be a great setter. I'm gonna be a great wing spiker. Like, I'm gonna be something awesome in volleyball. And then I looked it up. I'm way too short. But it's like one of those things that, like, it's like, what would I do? And I was just thinking of sports, and I could not think of anything. I played the best three. I played basketball, football, soccer. I've done those. Nothing's the same. Nothing's like this. So after the long thought and sitting down with my wife, talking about it, taking a step back from pro was probably the best, and trying to find maybe a semi-pro team that you're not gone all the time. Her thing is obviously, like, you're not gone all the time, so find a semi-pro team so you don't got to go to practice so much, right? That was her plus. My plus is, all right, well, if I find a semi-pro team, at the time I had a great job. I was a pest technician. I was making fantastic money in Vegas, so that was never an issue. But in the schedule fit, especially for a semi-pro squad, like, the practice and the requirements are way different than in pro. Like, we didn't used to have non-layouts as a requirement for Hurricanes, but they are now, and that just adds another weekend where you're in Louisiana. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not just weekends; it's also the travel. Sometimes days around the weekends too.
Correct. Yeah. If you like, that's why, like, the DFW airport sucks when it comes to flights. I'm sure you felt it, and I feel like they cancel if rain drops on the airplane at all. They'll cancel the flight. And the past 3 times that I've scheduled a flight to Louisiana, it's been canceled. I've had to drive. So that's like 7.5 hours that I just didn't even think of gone. Just having to drive that now. You know what I mean? So it's like things like that. Like, the semi-pro schedule was a lot less daunting, and it was something that I felt like maybe it would allow me to fall back in love with the sport again. And that was really my wife's idea more than anything. She was like, don't quit, because if you quit, you're going to turn into somebody I don't know who you would turn into, and I don't know if I love that person, to be completely honest. And that's just her being true with me, and I love that about her. She's always been truthful with me like that. And I was in complete agreement. I did not know who I would be if I did not have this. So and I don't think I was ready to give that part up just yet. So yeah, outlaw anodizing it was, essentially. So it was pretty cool.
Was that right around the time when you moved from Vegas to Texas? Was all that happened?
No. Actually, at that time, I was still in Vegas, and I was in Vegas for at least 2 more years after Outlaw, I
Got it.
believe. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did Outlaw, like, what prompted the move to Texas? I know you mentioned your wife got a job. Was it for that, or did you actually move for paintball?
I moved me for paintball. For me, it
Wow.
was just for paintball. Honestly, yeah. For me, it was just paintball, nothing else. From my wife, it was literally just for work. And I guess I mean, obviously, for my son is 5 now, and he was been homeschooled and still is homeschooled currently. But we wanted to try public school, and when we went to Vegas, a lot of maybe those things weren't lining up with our beliefs and whatnot and what have you.
Sure.
So yeah, yeah.
Are you homeschooling as well?
Still, yeah, I'm homeschooling them. Yeah, I'm helping them homeschool. Yeah.
So you're a professional paintball player, you're
Yeah.
working multiple jobs, and you're also a teacher too. Holy
Yeah,
smokes.
I guess you could call me a teacher. Yeah, but when it's for your son, I feel like it's always a little different.
Sure.
You can always be a little bit harder on him, I guess, or a little bit lighter on him. I know no school in the world's going to make you do push-ups if you can't do your ABCs, but he's done push-ups for messing with me during the morning and pretending not to know his ABCs. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like stuff like that before, like, yeah. It's definitely a different feel. But yeah, I guess you could count teacher too. I never
Yeah.
thought of that either. Thanks for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're juggling a lot of different hats, and I think from my experience, doing this podcast, I'm approaching 50 episodes now at this point. I've learned that people that have to wear multiple hats when they're on the field, they're able to almost be calmer, and like the game slows down for them in a way because they're able to like switch so fast.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen that translate for you on the field as well. Like you seem like you stay pretty monotone, not monotone, but like you stay pretty even keel on the field.
Yeah, I tend to try to only let my voice. So when I coach too, I always tend to tell them like it's really easy to have a conversation with somebody when you just talk. But a lot of times, if you need to let somebody know, your voice elevates, right? When you
Yeah.
elevate your voice, if you are always talking at that level, like everything's a big deal and it's invasion of normity, and you're just hanging out in your bunker, like no one's going to take you seriously when they're in your 50 snake and it really needs to be at this level. You know what I mean? So I always brought that too in terms of conversation, like coming into it, talking and just being very calm in your voice. When stuff is hitting the fan and someone's really attacking you, you can let them know without really, and they'll be quick to the Kai's in trouble. I have not heard him squeal like that before. Like, Kai's
Yes.
in some trouble right now. Let me look at him. For sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the power of communication and the power of like
Yeah.
sensing the moment. And we were actually at practice this last weekend, and there's a local team, Austin Assault, who you'll probably see here at USXBL in a few weeks. And there was just one guy in the corner; he just couldn't get his team's attention.
Just
He
talking.
came off and he came off the field like, "Hey, you've got to like change the cadence of your voice. Like, you've got to give them something to be like, oh shit, that's different from what I normally hear to like catch their attention."
Yeah, he's in trouble right now. Something's really,
Yes.
really bad. Zach Carter when we were on the Ironman, he's really good at that. He'll be like, "Hey, I need help. I need help." Like he won't even say the bunker. He'll just tell you he needs help. And it caught when I started playing with him when on the Ironman. That was the first thing that caught my eye with him. Is like we'd be playing together and out of nowhere, he's like, "I need help right now, right now." And I'd turn and look and be like, "Oh, he does. Yeah, you're about to die.
Yeah,
I got
you're in
you.
trouble.
Yeah. Let me help you out. Yeah, for sure."
Yeah. What did you learn about taking that year off from the pro league? Because I think a lot of people, the thought of not being a professional paintball player to some people is like it's an ego. It hits the ego really hard, and like what people think about me. Like, what was that like for you?
That is all that is. It's just simply ego, and it's a lot of the pros too. Like make those jokes about it too. Like go back to the semi-pro division. Your career is basically over, and some of that's true. Like there is merit to that. Like there are some pros that go into the league, have zero success, get bumped back down to semi-pro, and you never hear about them again. And there are some dudes that come back from that or make their whole team come back from that, right? And I feel like personally, like that is just straight ego. It's really just what you let other people controlling what your outcome is again. And that's not something that I'm really like I've ever really let anything in my life really happen. Like other people have never been able to control what I'm going to do most of the time, obviously, unless you're like my boss or whatever. But like you know what I'm saying, in the aspect of my life, like you're not really going to be able to control me. Like my move to from Vegas to Dallas was so abrupt in some people's perspective that they had no clue what was going on, right? I just up and did it, and they were like, "Bro, are you okay? Like, why'd you just up and like, is a mob after you? Like, what's going on?" Right? So like, it's just one of those things. I feel like it's just an ego thing for sure. It's letting other people's feelings, maybe the way they see you, maybe the way they see the league in the moment. And then the teams that are in the league in the moment hold you back from doing something you love still. Like, why would I let anybody hold me back from doing anything I love? Hanging out with my son or hanging out with my wife, you know what I mean? I'm not going to let anyone tell me I can't do that. So, like, it's same aspect with this. I will never let anyone tell me that I can't do it if I love to do it, right? So until that love's gone, like, that's it, really. Like, that's all there is to it. It's just ego and other people keeping you down from doing something you love, period. And if you can fight past that part too, take that punch in the face and be like, yeah, I'm a semi-pro again, who cares? A lot of that time too, when you get bumped back down to the semi-pro league, you still hold the pro badge on your name. And so when you come back down to the semi-pro league, it's kind of weird, your deals get better. It's really weird. I got relegated on elevation and just got a better team in Thunder. And then I got relegated or got kicked off of Thunder or whatever, right? Because they couldn't have me anymore, and got sick of Ironmen or whatever it may have you with that whole situation, and then left the whole league and got paid better than I think I ever had with Outlaw, right? And had a phenomenal fun season with Outlaw. And I think we made Sunday twice. We never even placed. We just made Sunday, like, and still had a phenomenal time with them. So it's just one of those things that if you let other people control you, obviously your life's probably going to be a lot worse off, for sure. That's something I take away from my dad. He did tell me, if you ever let another man control the amount of money you make, you'll always be broke. So it's like one of those things that, like, yeah, like, you know, don't let people control you, you know, like, just do what you love and don't apologize. Just do it. You know, it's something you love to do. Everything else will follow. Like, the money will come. You'll find a way to make more money. The wife will come. You know what I'm saying? You'll find a wife or a significant other that supports what you love to do and will support you doing that. Right. So, like, yeah, dude, it all comes together when you want it to, for sure.
Yeah, that's sound advice, because I think a lot of people go through the opposite of that, where whether it's, you know, going down to the pro league or semi-pro league, or even like a team change like this, the ego gets in the way of literally everything.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal. I think if you're able to control that and harness that, that's where those things then aren't worrying about what everyone else is going to think in that moment. It's, how is this going to benefit me short term and long term?
Exactly. And if you can make it benefit you always, then, like, what else is there, right? Like, what else would you take? What other route, excuse me, would you take, right? Like, you would only want to make yourself. Personal growth, I feel like, is very prominent with anybody and everyone, right? Especially in their business life or their financial life or their personal life with their wife or what have you, right? Just your own growth is very important for you to even be a better provider, a better teammate, a better whatever. You have to be good with you and grow as well and become a better you. So, like, yeah, dude, that's for sure 100% something I feel like. Just don't let other people control you, man, ever. Like, just do you and be unapologetic for it, for sure. Unless you're a butthole, then, you know. Don't be a butthole. At that point. yeah, exactly.
Talk to me about the Hurricanes, you know, because it's been such an amazing story. Just them as an organization has been an amazing story, but then inside of that, there's so many individuals that have just amazing stories as well. You know, like I can't wait to get Daniel Camp on here. I've had, you know, Bianca on when he just went transitioned to Dynasty, obviously, and now that you're on too. So what has it been like being around that kind of blue collar mentality again?
Dude, it's really cool. Like, it's like one of those things that I feel like it was maybe something I was missing for a while there when it came to the pro scene, because for a little bit there I was like, everything was paid, it was nice, and, you know, I got to be a prima donna a little bit and got used to that. When I joined the Hurricanes, it was like, hey bud, practice paint's X amount, by the way, just so you know. It was like one of those things that's like, it landed for me there, like, oh shit, I got, excuse my language, but I gotta pay for practice paint all of a sudden, right? Like that's like one of those things that like it's very what is like earth shaking whenever it comes to that, right? It's very groundbreaking where you're like, okay, well, if I'm gonna put up my money for this, oh, you better believe I'm gonna put my best foot forward on this too. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna go pick up 2 shifts at a restaurant to pay for practice paint or to pay for the hotels or whatever, just because, just so I don't have to burn any money for my child or whatever to do the sport, then I'm going to do that. And I'm going to probably drive into practice on no sleep, right after a shift, drive straight to practice for 7 hours, get there right before warm-ups, gear up. If I'm going to go through that, you damn well be sure I'm going to put my best foot forward. You know what I mean? And that's probably what I needed right in the moment, coming back from being really well taken care of with Outlaw and Phil and everybody on the Outlaw team doing so well with that, and the Ironmen being so generous and being able to take me on and taking care of everything. Like I am not by any means like unappreciative of any of that. That stuff was very appreciated in time. It helped me out in my time of need for that stuff, right? So yeah, dude, I was super appreciative of them for that too. But coming to the Hurricanes and paying for practice paint, like I haven't paid for practice paint in a long time, man. So like that was very different for sure. And it just makes you want to work harder. Yeah, dude, it just makes you want it more, and getting closer and closer. Like Tampa, the first event, like we came out swinging, took 9th. Like that was great for us to lose Mike and a couple of the starters that they had, and bringing a bunch of new guys and just, trying to cultivate talent while it's being competitive, like that's difficult. So for us to come out swinging 9th place in that one, and I keep a journal for every event now, like now everything in this journal that's next to me in this Hurricane binder, playbook binder that we have, has literally day of events and what I ate for breakfast in the mornings on there, or how I felt, or how I felt going into Friday, if I only played a little bit, or if I played a lot, or if I got a penalty, or if I watched the starter struggle, or if I watched them, succeed and do really well, like how I felt in those moments. A lot of that's written down in there, and some of it's a little personal, but I like that'd be something I keep so I can read at the end of the season, because I've never done that before for any team. This is the first team that made me have a player's binder anyways, to like keep plays in and write notes in and refer to. So like this is the first, I want to say, most pro organized team I've ever played on. So, and that's Stuart, right? That's Stuart Ridgel. So like he's putting his best foot forward in his aspects from his life that he's really good at, being very organized and being a realtor and being able to like break down things for people and having a schedule and like, hey, you have to pay your down payment at this time, I'm sure, and be done by this time with all this, fixing of this to sell the house, right? Or whatever.
Simplifying.
Yeah, and he's good at that, dude. Every part of our day is scheduled from 7 a.m. Hey, we're waking up, having breakfast, going to the field, and then till 6 p.m. If we make 3-man is written on there, right? Like if we keep moving on in 3-man, it will end here. And then second column is if we get knocked out at 3-man, practice at noon, right? Like that kind of thing is on there. Like he's just so meticulously good at that. And it's one of those things that I feel like, man, if it was all funded, would you do that? In the beginning, if it was all just perfectly laid out for you, would you do all that extra hard work? Most people wouldn't. So
I would agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really happy that I chose the Hurricanes though. Like I had a lot of other offers I could have gone with, much more funded offers for sure. But I bring that up a lot in practice too. Like I chose to be here just like all of you did. And if I chose to be here and to do this with y'all and struggle and go 2-2 in Ohio but have a great time at Topgolf or something like that's way more important to me and way better of a time than maybe being funded and going 2-2 and then just breaking off into your little group of people you like, or hey, I'm going to the event. How many of us are going to the event? Oh, 2 of us. So I guess you two I don't really talk to that much can come roll with me at the event, and then we don't really even hang out. I park the car, we say whatever, and then go off. And I'm in the dive booth the rest of the day while like I was just your Uber, right? Like, and we go back, whatever, like that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different for sure.
Yeah, it's a whole. I mean, the way you're describing it, it's literally a whole different mentality, and I think that's helped shape you as a person and a player. Because for people that follow you on Instagram, they'll know the potato, right? You always talk about the potato.
Yeah.
You're the. Well, actually, you tell us about it.
No, you had a great idea for that shirt. That right? You want me to tell that story or what?
Yeah, go for it. And just some context here for if you aren't following Kaito, one, go do that. But two, he always posts something about a potato for being the first person at the paintball field, and it's honestly very rare for a professional paintball player to be the first person at a field.
Really? Okay. Well, I personally like being the first to the paintball field because I'm late to everything. So if I'm not early, I'm probably going to be late. Like that's what we were talking about when we were in the green room. You're 10 minutes early. I love that about you. Like, dude, if I wasn't 10 minutes, I'd probably be 5 minutes late. So I'll be here. You know what I mean? And it's like one of those things for me, right? Like, you're gearing up. I like taking my time. I'm a prima donna, so I'll take my time. I'll put on my pants, put a good song on, get my mind right, put one cleat on, maybe an arm pad, change the song. You know what I mean? Go scrolling through a song, change, like a post, see Shellda's photo, stick, like that, comment on it real quick, throw the phone back in the trunk, put my other right cleat on, like I'm like one of those players. So if I'm not early, I'm probably late. And I like being the first one to the field because it allows me to really, and most of the time, honestly, Michael Brown is, when it comes to the Hurricanes, Michael Brown is the first one to the field, period. I make it a joke, actually, and sometimes not only a joke, but a goal. I have to beat Michael to the field one time this whole weekend. If we have like a 3-day practice, 1 out of 3, I got to beat him there. And it's just because he's like me, man. He likes being there first. He likes getting ready, taking his time, really encompassing the moment, being where your feet are. Like I said earlier, like really being in the moment is so difficult for most people. And some people take a long time doing that, and some people can do it in a short amount of time and just kind of flick that switch on and be like, hey, I know this is my last time on the box with you guys. So, and I'm okay with that, and some people have that resolve. And dude, maybe I'm just a kid at heart, but I can't do that yet. Like, I just love this too much. So I like to be there early, really encompass the moment. Like, there's only a few times I'm there early, and because like I said, I'll have a shift before, and I'll drive the 7.5 hours right after the shift, no sleep, drive 7 hours all the way there, get there at like 5 a.m. sometimes because I drove all night, so sometimes a couple hours early, and I'll get an hour sleep in my car before practice. And sometimes when I first pull up at 4 a.m., sometimes I'll get out and I'll just sit there and be like, dude, I'm in Louisiana right now. You know what I mean? And just be like, this is crazy. Like, I just saw 20 deer driving here. Like something wild on the way driving here. Like, this is crazy. Like, there will be times where I really just do that. And I feel like the Hurricanes have been the reason why I'm able to do that, because I feel like when I was doing that for California or Vegas, I really started hating the drive to California for good paintball. Like, 4 hours just to go play good paintball to me was like, God, kill me now, right? Like, just to play good paintball, good Lord. But now with paintball, I'm 18 minutes from Giant Party Sports. They'd throw a rock and probably hit the back center if I wanted to. Like, it's really, really close. And then Fitz an hour away, you know what I mean? San Antonio's 4 hours away. Houston's 4 hours away. So if I really wanted to make that California drive for good reps, I could, but I don't have to anymore. And it's like one of the best things, I feel like, personally, for my mental state.
Well, it also seems like you going through all of those long drives like taught you appreciation, because now that you're that close, you haven't lost that. You're still showing up to the field insanely early most of the times before people locally.
Yeah, before the gates open, man.
And that's where the potato comes in. You got to put it on a shirt. It's a great idea.
Yeah, you had a great idea to make I'm a potato shirt to be like the picture of an empty field or something on the back or something. Like, yeah, that'd be one car in the parking lot. Like, yeah, for sure.
Because it's just that, I talk about it every weekend with all my guys, and there's a lot of times that I'm one of the first people at the field, and granted, I'm just a photographer, but like, right. I look around like, man, you want all these players saying they want to like become, D2, semi-pro and pro. Like, why are you not here early?
Where's the drive?
Exactly. Yeah. And so whenever I see you do that, it just makes me appreciate you even more as a person. And, pros that are in the league that are not strolling in an hour or two late. Because it shows that your heart is still there.
Yeah.
And you tying it back to having to pay for practice paint just makes you appreciate those moments even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I better make these 6 pods on my back work because we only got 30 cases today, because tomorrow we're trying to shoot another 30 and it's non-layout. So like the layout doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like some of those times you come in and you're like looking at your wallet, like, all right, how much paint do I want to shoot today? 4 pods? 4 pods. We're practicing 3-man all day. Like that kind of stuff. Like
snap shooting all day, one ball.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I've got a few more hurricane questions, and I want to jump into some personal things.
Yeah.
This last event at in Lone Star, the Lone Star Open, man, you just had some like crazy cool moments. And sometimes, being a photographer, I'll like sense kind of the moment, and I'll start to like strafe to one side of the field. And you had just had this crazy point, and like I saw you kind of run down the field and run in front of the VIPs. I was like, okay, he has to at some point come back towards me, towards the pits. And so I'm going to pull up this picture here. And for those that are not on YouTube watching, it's Kaito running directly at me with a 1 in the air, fans in the background. Walk me through this moment, because it was so cool. You were so jacked up here.
Yeah, dude, this is probably going to be one of my core memories forever, to be honest. I have this saved on my phone, actually, this point from the Go Sports, I guess, view. And actually from my buddy Flycan Media, his point of view, I just pointed, that POV is really good too. But we had just won, I believe, against Arsenal here on Sunday, and we're moving on to play X Factor. Me and C-Right had just closed out the point against Cody Mikowski, I believe. He had hung that buzzer for us to win in overtime. And when I went to the VIP booth, the main reason I went is because this was my wife's first NXL she's ever been to. Ever.
Oh, wow.
And all of them I've ever played in, right? So this is the first one she's ever been able to come to. She brought my son. I was able to pay for the VIP for them to sit up there and watch basically me play from the Dorito side, because I was lucky enough to have that be the side for this event. And that's the main reason I went over there. I went over there to find her in the sea of heads somewhere, hopefully, and see her and just like share a moment. Like, we're here, I'm doing this, like this is everything we moved out here for, you know what I mean? Like, wow. In my eyes, right? So and that was really what that part was for. But it's hard to, like, the fans don't know this unless or you might know this too because you're out there, but you look into the nets, and unless unless the light's in a certain way, you can't tell who's over there. So I ran over there to go find my wife, looking to, hype her up and be like, yeah, you, me, we did us, right? And I ran over there and just saw a sea of heads, outlines and shadows. So I was just like, well, F it, I'm already here. Let's go Hurricanes. Like we did it, baby. Like, we're gonna win this tournament, and that's just how I felt in my heart. Like, we are going to win this. And all the moving out to Texas on some random love for the sport. And even though there are some background reasons, right? My wife's jobs and whatnot, but moving to Texas and working so much and really putting in my time here in Texas. Like, I've been playing a lot of paintball here since moving here, a stupid amount, I think, almost ungodly amount. And doing all that, it finally culminating into something worthwhile for me, even though it is like, a team sport, and I love those guys, and the Hurricanes are like everything right now for me and my family. Like, I love these guys like they're all my brothers. In that moment, it was something that justified it all for me. Like, it's all good. Everything you did's cool. Like, this is all good. And maybe you don't have some $1 million CEO job that you could have had back then, or maybe you're not top level management at that other job that you wanted or could turn down, but like, you're jumping around in front of your wife and a bunch of fans and in front of VIP and a stage that maybe 200 people right then and there watching and care about, but those 200 people are watching you, dude. So put a show on, like, let's make it happen. So it was just like one of those things. I feel like it was definitely like, you did it. This is all important. You made it important. You made it happen. Good for you. Now let's go win the event with the boys. And that was kind of like the next thought that was coming in when I was running the pit. That's what I was thinking is like, that's one. Yeah, let's go get two more. Let's go get two more. That's why when I ran up and you got that picture of the one, as soon as I high-fived all the coaches and everybody, I was like, let's go get two more. Two more. That's it. That was one. Let's go get two more. Yeah.
Gosh, the power of a moment, man. That's so cool. I think that's why I love, pulling up photos that I've taken, because you see it, but then there's also the story behind it as well. And then hearing the player story is just sometimes that's the gold right there.
Yeah.
I'll give you a pro tip, because I do the same thing. So my wife will sit in VIP a bunch of times too, and I always try to say hi to her. I'll always say, "Hey, what side are you on?" That way I know, I love you. At least I know what side I'm saying it to.
So you can see a hand come out of the seat. That's cool. Yes. That's cool. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to use that at cut.
So next time, just have her text her what side of the VIP you're on, so you're not saying I love you to a random person.
She gets really mad because you're doing this to somebody else.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, totally funny. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Great tip. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah. I want to bring up one more picture, because this is also something very special to you that I don't think, unless you were there around you or in the pits, I don't think a lot of people saw this, and I don't think anyone really talked about it. But you had on the back of your jersey, you had the whole team sign it. That's so powerful. Yeah, Archie Barnes Jr. did this, I think, a year or so ago, and I had a photo of him doing it, and it's a powerful thing when somebody does this. What was the thought behind this to have the team do that?
So, I do this on every pro team I've been on. I've had them all sign a jersey, mostly because on Elevation, when I first joined them, I joined them without having a jersey. If you see in some of the videos and some of the footage there, I'm the guy in all black because I was picked up the week before the event. And it was just because a couple of them last minute couldn't go and such. So when that happened to me and I got a jersey by them, my first pro jersey, it was not even for my first pro event that I debuted in. So I felt like maybe that it wasn't as powerful, you know what I mean? Maybe it just didn't feel right. Maybe it was just like, is it really your first pro event? You're not really, you know what I mean? You barely even got rostered, dude. You know what I mean? So don't make it what it's not, right? Just keep it what it is, which is you just got rostered because some people couldn't make it kind of deal. So when I first got my first pro jersey with them and Thunder, I had everybody kind of sign it. And it was more or less like a memento for myself. Like, hey, you made it here. These are the guys that you're going to battle with for the season. And these are the guys that you have to help either back up or they will back you up. And at some point or another, you're going to lean on any one of these individuals for even just life advice. So I've always had a lot of the guys sign it as a memento for myself, as like Corey Hall told me how I could snap better when I was on Elevation this season. Hal Vanta, headbutt Hal, he taught you how to headbutt maybe that season. So, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So I always had every season one jersey out of all of them, everyone signed. I was able to get everybody on Thunder, everybody from the first original roster of the Ironmen, I believe is somewhere around there. I can't find that jersey. I think it's somewhere in my practice bin. I have a tote full of these jerseys. And then obviously the Hurricane one. But a lot of that is a memento. And then the secondary thought behind that aspect too is a lot of those guys, they have your back. And so how could you ever fail if all of their names are across your back and they all put their support into you? How could you ever fail, right? You have all those people pushing you forward. Just don't fall.
Wow,
for sure. Yeah,
that's beautiful. I love hearing things like that, because that's where you see it and there's just the assumption of oh yeah, I got the team in my back, but to hear the deeper meaning behind that and what you're personally taking away from that, that's so cool. Does the team know that? When you're asking them to sign, do they know that's the reason why?
No, I told them all, and the coaches were kind of confused too when I had them sign it. The coaches, and I even had I consider him a coach, Rosie, who Brian Rosenthal. I consider him a coach too. He's more of our scouting tactics guy. Hey, they went to the back center this X amount of times kind of deal.
He's on the coaching staff.
Yeah, but I still feel like he's definitely a coach. Maybe he doesn't do our plays and whatnot, but he definitely helps in many other aspects. So I even had him sign it, and they're all a little confused when I asked them to sign it too. But it's like, that's like the truth of it all, right? Like, I feel like everybody on the team has to trust you for you to even go out there, right? And so for like them to call my number in overtime, like against X Factor, and it's win or we go home, and I got a penalty in that match already, you know, in the first point, and I didn't see the field again until the overtime point. Like, yeah, you got to have that. Like, you can't falter here. You cannot. Yeah, there's no other way to do it than win. So.
What'll be cool now is some of your teammates hopefully are going to listen to this and like hear this segment and then text you right after and be like, "Hey, I had no idea about this." That's going to be really cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I hope they do listen. I think a lot of them do listen to what you have going on for sure. Like Stuart and Drew Bell, they knew who you were, and like John, the owner, they knew who you were when I mentioned that I was going to come on here. So I know they definitely listen for sure. So I hope they do. That's cool. That'd be cool.
We'll find out. Let's see. Let's have them text you the word potato if they've gotten this far in the episode.
Cool. Okay, I like that. Yeah, let's have a text you potato then. That's cool. Yeah.
Hey, let's shift one more time, and I want to talk about more. There's some personal things that you brought up that, you know, when I have some people on, when they talk about some of the personal things in their life, I'm like, wow, one, thank you so much for sharing that. But two, are you okay to share that publicly? Because those are the kind of things that people are going to listen to this and they're like, oh my God, like I'm going through that too, or I have been through that. And it resonates so much.
Yeah.
And so some framework to this is you had mentioned to me one of the things that growing up you had struggled with was alcohol, but not for the reasons that I think a lot of people think about, right? Like when someone says, oh, you know, we've had alcohol struggles, it's because you're taking an alcohol.
Correct.
You were on the opposite side of that, and you were around parents who they were alcoholics, and you had to be on this side of watching your parents kind of go through that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what that experience was like for you. And I would love to know, now that you're where you are, what did you take away from that experience?
What did I take away from that experience? It was really easy. Just don't drink. That's really what I took away from it personally. Some people are like, I always quote Kevin Hart in this too, to make light of the situation. But like, some of us are really good drinkers. We're good readers in my family. We don't do good drinking. We definitely are good reading for sure. We definitely read a lot better than we hold our liquor. But my family is definitely, both mother and father were alcoholics at some point, especially growing up at some point in their life, for sure. I have very crazy memories of the stuff they would do to one another and scream at one another and throw at stuff. You know, it's just not the best time in my life, for sure, as growing up through the young teenage years. Actually, that was my sister, I believe. I have a younger sister, 2 years younger than me. I believe she was 10 when she was crying in the bathtub when I had to go help her out when my mom and dad were basically physically altercating in the kitchen at the time. And I was 12. I believe I was 12 or 13. So yeah, so it's like one of those things is just not, you know, not the best time in my life, for sure. And one of those things that I feel like taught me a lot about myself and how I handle alcohol. Cause like I've been drunk before. I've definitely taken in alcohol before and tried it. It's definitely not for me. Like I said, I've worked out since I was 16. So I remember when I was 13, my parents having a Bowflex in the garage. I remember after that day, I remember being like, I need an outlet. So I don't do that like what my dad did, or I don't do that like my mom did. I need an outlet because there's anger within this family that runs pretty deep. You know what I mean? And alcohol is definitely not the way to handle that anger. So I always thought of it as like, I needed to go find something different. And, you know, paintball came into the picture at 15 or 16, but working out was really it very early in my childhood to letting go of a lot of the anger that was pent up inside and not being a bully at school because my dad had a drunk night and, you know, took it out on me and my sister the next day. You know what I mean? Like not having a bad day at school with that and dealing with that kind of stuff with no one knowing, you know, like even I think this is the first that I've actually talked to somebody else about it, to be honest. Like I never really talked to somebody else too much about it. So thanks for being my therapist.
Thanks for trusting me. in
Yeah,
this.
no,
Yeah,
it's really not
yeah,
that bad now. But yeah.
the paintball stuff's cool. Like that's the people resonate with that and whatnot. But I think the human side of it is when they hear somebody like you going or have gone through this and you got through it. Somebody, I'm telling you, somebody will hear this right now, hear this next week when this comes out, and they're going to be in a similar situation, and they're going to feel like, man, I feel hopeless, or I don't know what to do. And to hear that you went through it and that you found an outlet in working out, like you're literally going to change the trajectory of someone's life in a positive way.
Yeah, I really hope so, because like, I don't know, and nothing against people that have a good time when they're drinking. If that's your cup of tea, dude, do it. If you hold it well, like, and you don't, end up in jail every time you go do it, like, you're probably really good at holding your liquor and can have a good time. And I've known some amazing people that only, seem to have more fun and be more loose when they're like that, right? So like, it's not like I hate it and I shun people for doing it. It's just not my cup of tea. And I feel like personally, if you're going through that now, like what I did personally is I found an outlet in working out, but I also kind of found an outlet in some people don't have siblings, but I helped my sister, right? And having an outlet with that, like I remember she was crying in the bathtub, and like TMI or whatever, she's fully naked 10-year-old in the bathtub crying, you know what I'm saying, just bawling her eyes out, and I have to like knock on the door, get a towel, cover her up, tell her it's okay, hug her, hold her, and I was 12, 13. Like I'm not emotionally mature enough, I feel like, to even process what was going on at the time, right? So having a sibling that you had to look after probably helped me grow up very quickly, do that, and being like, I have to look out for her and myself because they're too busy doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
And as we grew up and went to high school and they got a divorce, things got better, right? So sometimes they make the situation better themselves by separating, right? So sometimes, and there's struggle in that too. Sometimes you think it's you, like how many times, why did Dad go out and drink all the time? It's because I annoyed him at home. So he just went out with his friends all the time and hung out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that too. Why did Mom drink alone all the time on the couch? You know what I mean? It's because she didn't have any friends because of me, right? She couldn't go out and hang out. So she just gets to hang out and drink glasses of wine, but then next thing you know, 2 bottles are gone. She didn't realize she did that. She just stumbles on into bed, and I got to help her off the couch into bed, Like there's few facets and outlets that I felt like I thought about myself, and I had to push those aside to help my sister because she would have those thoughts, and I would have to battle those with her and be like, no, it's not us. It's just them, right? So yeah, it's definitely, I feel like you just have to, don't give up. That's the first thing. You can't give up. And then the second thing is, don't let other people decide how happy you're going to be, right? Like, even though they're my mom and my dad, and I see them every day and they take me to school, what have you, right? Maybe my mom goes on a bender Saturday night and then I'm late to practice on Sunday because she doesn't get up to drive me. So I have to figure out a way to get there myself, right? So call a friend, phone a friend's always nice, things like that. But like, yeah, man. Like I think there was a comment actually, Mike Zita is one of my friends from Vegas. He never, I believe, went pro or anything. He was just a divisional player. But I remember him picking me up from my house because my mom didn't want to drive me and taking me to paintball practice, and being able to let me grind with him all day, take me to lunch, and then take me back home the next day or the night, that night. You know what I mean? So, and that was when I was like 15. Yeah, I couldn't drive, or 16, couldn't drive yet. So it's like one of those things that I feel like that part of the paintball community showed me, like, dude, you can do this. Like, you know what I mean? You could do this without them. Like, I was an amazing, stellar baseball player. I think I crushed baseball, was on a club sport. I was being taught by an old Cubs pitcher on this club team. We were traveling. I was one of the best catchers, I believe, in the state at the time or something like that. And then my dad bought me I want to say it was about $2,000 worth of catcher's gear. Back then, that's a lot of money, right? 2,000 brand new catcher's gear, all nice. And this, I remember this conversation. It was probably the saddest of his life because I told him, I was like, man, I just don't like it anymore. Like, I hate baseball. And he was like, you couldn't have told me before I just bought all this. You know what I mean? He's like, you couldn't have said something at dicks or whatever, right? Like 2 months ago. And I was like, no, I just think I hate it. And he's like, well, what are you doing that's encompassing so much of your thought process? Like he was like sincerely asking me what I want to do, because he's down to support me on anything, right? And I always thought that too, because he was always like, football, I got you. Baseball, you want a new glove? Done. Like he was always like that. But then it came to paintball. I remember telling him that and him just being like, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's it. I don't know if you're going to do anything with that. Like, you have a great thing with this baseball. Like, you could be in the majors catching for the Dodgers, like blowing it up, obviously. But you could do that. You could do that, right? And it's like, and I see where he's coming from now that I have a child, and I can see so much of me in him and what he could do, and he could do anything he wants, right? So it's like you see that in your own kids all the time. So I see that now where he's coming from. But like, I don't know, man, paintball has this weird thing, and it kept me out of trouble. So baseball was something that my dad loved, but he also would tend to drink at baseball fields, because that's kind of what you do, is you have a beer when you're at the baseball field while you're hanging out watching. Well, that sometimes wasn't always the best plan. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's just like one of those things that I linked baseball and alcohol. So I started doing that with a lot of aspects of my life. I would link stuff that I didn't like to alcohol, and that I just started doing a lot of that. And that's where I get the thing of like, don't let other people control what you love. Because at the moment, I did love baseball. I probably could have gone to the majors if I really wanted to, right? If I put as much work in paintball as I did baseball, maybe. But don't really want to do it anymore. I never really wanted to after because of that, right? So it just is what it is.
It's amazing how much we associate with those memories, right? Where like they then start to almost could take away good parts of your life, but like you're able to harness that and still find something like, hey, I want to shift here, and like you can't take that away. It's now your thing. It wasn't his thing. It's now your thing.
Exactly. And I think that's perfect way of saying it. Like the big three, like baseball, football, basketball, soccer, all those. My dad was a collegiate soccer player. He almost made it pro. So like he was about the big three. He was about doing, you want to play football? Let's get you a straight set of pads. You want to learn how to hit? I'll go get the dummy bag. I'll buy this, that, and the other. And it was like that, it was my thing. I found my thing that I loved, and he had no idea what it was about. So he's like, maybe in the other aspect of it, I'll give him some grace here. Like maybe he didn't know how to support me in it. Maybe he didn't know, like driving you to the paintball field is all you really need, kid. I didn't know that's all I really had to do for you to show you support in this, right? Like maybe he didn't know. So maybe I'll give him some grace in that aspect of that. So for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's worked out pretty well, and now you're on a pro league. Just had some iconic moments, and you've got a pretty awesome event coming up here where we'll see you deep in the Sundays too.
Yeah, I really, really think we got a great shot at it, and if we all are working hard, especially as hard as we should be with that motivational push from Dallas this year, like if we're all putting in the work like we definitely should be, man,
You're right there for sure. Well, I genuinely appreciate you opening up and sharing that. That's one of the reasons why like I have so much passion with doing this podcast is, everyone that has other paintball podcasts, they have, different stories and whatnot, but I don't think anyone goes as deep as they do on this one. And that's where so many people resonate with you. Like I'll guarantee it, Kaito. I'll put money on it. Someone's going to come to you at World Cup or even at USXPL here in a few weeks and say, "Hey, I heard this on the podcast, and like, thank you for fill in the blank."
Yeah,
that's going to be the goal for you.
Well, thank you for giving all of us an outlet for that, right? Like, not a lot of people know what Patrick Mahomes went through in his childhood without having to like sit down and talk to him and be his friend, right? They might see what SportsCenter puts on, but that's not everything, right? And how maybe he felt in the moment. So like you give us the platform to do that. So kudos to you and doing this and being awesome with it. So good job.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks. That means a lot.
No, absolutely.
I've got a closing tradition. It sounds like you may be aware of it, may not.
Yeah. No, I am 100%. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Where I ask every guest a question that they leave a question for next week's guest without knowing who it is.
Okay.
And so it's just a really cool way to tie in, every single episode together. And I had another podcast host on last week, Stephen Hatch from the sidelines, who also plays semi-pro. He plays for DMG.
Mm-hmm. I know of him as well. I listened to his stuff for a while, especially when Moffitt was on. Not so much
Yes.
recently, but yeah, I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah. And his
So
question, without knowing you were coming on, is just, it's beautiful with everything that we've talked about so far.
okay.
And so his question for you is, again, without knowing that you're going to be on, is what's the biggest sacrifice you've ever made for paintball?
Man, the biggest sacrifice that I've ever made for paintball. Man. I want to say it's all the relationships that I lost. I lost some really good ones in the time of chasing, what I want to do for this whole thing, right? Like a lot of people don't understand, like we were talking about earlier, the time and the commitment it takes for this. So to lose so many really cool people in the moments, right? And some of them are my close friends at the time as well, and even going from divisional to pro, or going from different pro teams and like not even really and moving and not really even talking to a lot of my friends from Vegas anymore. Those are all really big hits. Like I made the move for paintball and my family and stuff like that, definitely saying, but my personal reason was for paintball. There's no other reason for that. So a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people can't link the two together. Can't even fathom like leaving a perfectly amazing, great job with a great house and selling it all and just moving out. Like a lot of people can't even fathom doing that or even want to do that. You know what I mean? And yeah, dude, I think the biggest sacrifice I've ever made was just letting go of the people that just don't understand what you're going through at the time. And some of them's family. Some of it's family, some of it's mother and fathers or uncles and aunts or sisters even. Some of them are sisters even. And it's just like you end up losing these people in your wake of running for the best thing for you, or in the wake of you chasing your dream. And a lot of people don't seem to resonate with some of that. But what I found out in doing that, and the glass half full aspect of it, is sometimes those people themselves don't even have something like that for themselves, and it's that old saying of sitting at a table and sharing food with people that you want to sacrifice with, or something like that, something along those lines. I know I probably butchered it, but something along those lines, right? Like,
Yes.
the people I've let go of, a lot of them have sat at a table and ate with me, but I don't feel like I would sacrifice as much with you. You know what I mean? Because you haven't with me in this goal and this quest of mine, right? So like, yeah, it's those people I feel like I've left behind in the wake of me doing this, and I feel bad about that and losing those connections. And most of them are family oriented, to be completely honest. And that's probably it. Losing my family is probably my biggest sacrifice. My family, not my son, my wife. So
I know what you mean.
my mother, my father, those kinds of people that didn't understand it, don't support it, don't care for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go through that or have gone through that at some point in this sport. Is people just don't get it, and I think sometimes for those other people that comes from a place of jealousy, right? Like if you're chasing a dream and going after something, if they're making fun or not believing of it, it's honestly because they're jealous that you're actually doing something.
Right. Yeah. Or that they can't do it themselves too, even, you know what I mean? Like some
Yeah.
people, even in this sport, like you have on your divisional teams that you thought you were best friends with, that you've physically gotten into physical altercations with outside of for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never spoke to him again because you went to a pro paintball team. You know what I'm saying? It's like stuff like that just happens, man, and
Yeah.
it sucks, but it's the truth. It just happens.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's really how much do you want it, right? Like that's always been the question in the back of my head. Is like, is it worth the sacrifice to you? A lot of this stuff is yes. There's very few times it's no. Very few, and those I could count on my hand. Wife, son, that kind of stuff. But
great answer.
Other than that, like there's very few things that will make me not go to practice.
Yeah, great answer.
Yeah.
Pressure's off. You get to leave a question for next week's guest without knowing who it is.
Ooh, next week's guest. Let's see. Okay, I kind of wanted to see this with the state. I gotta figure out let me figure out how to word this. With the state of the league right now, how do we get the baton passed from the legends to the rookies right now. How do we make that happen? How do we? I mean, obviously, in 2026, you could ask like how in 2026, if you were to have a full season of it, how would you take? How would you take Aftermath and their top 5 studs that they put out on the field? How do we get the other 5 dudes in? What is your idea on it? What is your best formula for that? How do you go through an event of doing that? Or how would you handle that? Because right now I'm coaching, right? And one of the teams that I coach is the Sharks, right? And they have definitely a big roster, and it's always revolving like divisional teams are, with funding and who can play what, and who has a wedding, and who's going through a girlfriend mishap or a boyfriend mishap or whatever have you, right? Like, it's always revolving doors, right? So like right now I'm coaching this team called the Sharks out of Houston on the Outlaw program. A lot of those guys are definitely really good players, and there's definitely a gap between maybe the top 7 and the bottom 3, right? There's definitely a gap, but those 3 guys paid money and they definitely practice and they put some work in. So you have to get them on the field at some capacity, or you're not. I feel like I'm not a good coach if I don't. You paid me to be here, and like you might be number 8, number 9 on the roster, but you expect me to fit you in there at some time, because you paid to be here, right? So like that's how I see it as a coach. So how would you get in it right now in the pro paintball scene? How do we pass the baton from the legends to the rookies and allow them to shine or grow? And just see what his ideas are on that. Maybe you could word it a little bit better.
Yeah, it's an incredible question. That's one of the burning questions I think we need to solve for very quickly, to make sure that pro paintball doesn't go away, because that age, the median age of professional players, keeps increasing, and we need it to drastically decrease very quickly.
Yeah, and I think the realm of those kids that are coming into the league are definitely bringing that like next level of skill and knowledge to the game now. So it could definitely happen.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, man, this has been such a good episode. Cool. It's one I've been looking forward to for a few events. I know we've gone back and forth, and I'm glad we were finally able to lock down a time, because this is one that I think people are for sure going to resonate with. And hopefully, if you're not a Kaito fan yet, you will be after this one.
Very good. Yeah, cool. I'm like very, very excited that I got a chance to be here with you today. And I really appreciate the time that you've been able to spend with me and been able to give to me here too on your platform. So I really appreciate you in that. And I hope everybody really learns something from this, or at least take something from this for sure. And, be a fan of the Hurricanes too, like these guys they worked hard at that. And I've only been with them for a little while. So for me to be able to see it in such a short amount of time, root for these guys. They're definitely working hard. Yeah.
Go buy some Hurricanes gear and help out where you can.
Well, for sure. Yeah, every bit counts for sure. Yeah, John is the best thing I think like happened to the Hurricanes for sure. So yeah,
agreed. Awesome. Well, to everyone else tuning in to another episode of the Shellda Podcast, thank you as always, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep. See you then.